Beneath the glittering crown and the pomp of royal ceremonies, the relationship between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla has never truly been as serene as it appears. They are not women who often stand together, nor do they exchange warm glances in official photographs. Instead, there is a subtle coldness, a polite nay, and an invisible distance each time they are seen together. Such moments are enough to raise eyebrows and spark quiet speculation. Between Anne, the fiercely loyal daughter of Queen Elizabeth II, and Camilla, the woman once viewed as the wedge in the marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, lies an unspoken tension that has long remained unexplored. Princess Anne's loyalty to her mother, to the monarchy, and to the unwritten codes of royal conduct is legendary. Camilla's role, meanwhile, has grown steadily stronger since she became queen consort. Yet it is precisely the difference in how each woman entered and navigated the royal household that has created a rift too deep to mend with ease. To Anne, Camilla is not merely her brother's wife. She stands as a reminder of a turbulent chapter in which royal honor was tested by deeply personal choices. Therefore, when Princess Anne unexpectedly stood up and revealed one of Camilla's darkest secrets, it was more than a simple warning. It was a deliberate act by a woman long regarded as the conscience of the royal family. The revelation sliced through the carefully preserved mask that Camilla had worn for decades. For Camilla, who believed her place at the summit of royal life was secure, those tears she shed may signal the start of a storm the royal household can no longer ignore. The Balmoral Showdown? It was supposed to be a calm retreat. The royal family gathered at Balmoral, Scotland's serene and storied estate for a private reunion far from the cameras and headlines. But what unfolded behind those ancient stone walls would shake the monarchy to its core. Princess Anne, known for her stoic demeanor and unwavering loyalty to royal duty, did something she had never done before. She spoke up, and she didn't hold back. In the drawing room surrounded by King Charles, Queen Camilla, and several senior aides, Anne stood not out of ceremony but conviction. Her words were cold, clear, and heavy. "I've held my tongue for too long. Enough is enough." Gasps, silence, then tension thick enough to slice with a sword. No one interrupted her. Not Charles, not Camilla, not even the aides trained to manage the unmanageable. And the family's quiet iron wall had finally broken ranks. She laid into years of unspoken frustrations, decisions made without consultation, titles handed out through politics, and a growing feeling that Camilla's rise to power had left the rest of the family sidelined and silenced. What had started as a casual summer meeting quickly turned into a royal reckoning. Insiders say Charles sat with his head bowed. Camilla remained stone-faced, but her eyes betrayed her. She was shaken. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a declaration. A declaration that years of polite tolerance had ended, that Anne was done watching the monarchy morph into something she no longer recognized. The walls of Balmoral didn't crumble, but something inside the palace did, the illusion of peace. From that moment on, nothing was the same. And what Anne revealed next was bigger than anyone expected, because it turns out even Queen Elizabeth had her doubts about Camilla, and Anne had the receipts. The hidden queen's true wish. The world remembers Queen Elizabeth II's official blessing of Camilla as queen consort during her Platinum Jubilee message. But what most don't know is what she said in private, and Anne was one of the few who heard it. In the days after the Balmoral Showdown, Princess Anne confided in two senior aides about conversations she had with the Queen in her final months. According to Anne, Her Majesty never truly wanted Camilla to be queen. In private, she viewed Camilla's presence on the throne as a reluctant compromise born not from trust, but from necessity. She told me plainly, Anne reportedly said, she believed Catherine was the one who embodied the future of the crown. It wasn't personal, it was about legacy. Sources claimed the Queen had shared her preference for Kate as the future face of the monarchy multiple times, but was pressured to give Camilla her blessing in public. Political pressure, family pressure, even public fatigue after decades of scandal. Anne referred to it as a deal made in the shadow of the Jubilee, one that Her Majesty didn't want to make, but felt she had no choice. And now, with Camilla wearing the crown, Anne believes that choice is being manipulated and misrepresented. "It was never meant to look like this," she reportedly told Charles during their Balmoral confrontation. You've turned a temporary pardon into a permanent crown. That statement struck deep, and it reopened a truth that many feared was buried with the queen, that the throne Camilla sits on may never have truly belonged to her. And if that's true, then the road to her title becomes even murkier, especially when you hear what Charles allegedly traded to secure it. Camilla's secret deal with Charles. And it wasn't love that solidified Camilla's crown, it was leverage. According to royal insiders who've remained silent for years, Princess Anne dropped a bombshell that even stunned seasoned palace staff. Charles made a secret promise to Queen Elizabeth during the height of the Andrew scandal. The deal: Camilla gets the crown if he can handle the situation with Prince Andrew. At the time, the royal family was reeling. The Epstein affair had exploded. Prince Andrew was toxic in the public eye, and Charles knew the crown's reputation was on the edge of collapse. But Camilla saw an opportunity in the chaos. With the Queen hesitant about elevating, Charles allegedly offered a solution: he would publicly remove Andrew, strip his titles, and distance him permanently if Camilla was granted Queen consort status in exchange. The deal was informal, quiet, and deeply personal. "It wasn't written, but it was understood," said one source close to Anne. "Fix the scandal and she gets her crown." What Anne finds most offensive isn't just the arrangement itself, but the fact that it was treated like a political transaction, not a matter of royal heritage. "You traded one crisis for another," she reportedly told Charles, "and in doing so, you've made Camilla's crown a crown of compromise." Camilla's defenders argue that she stepped up in a time of royal chaos, that she brought stability. But Anne sees it differently. To her, it was never stability, it was strategic survival. And the cost of that survival, the erosion of tradition. But the title negotiations didn't stop with Camilla herself, because what she pushed for next crossed a line that no royal should ever touch, and Anne wasn't about to stay silent. The title that broke the family. For Princess Anne, there are few things more sacred than royal tradition. It's not about status, it's about earned legacy, not borrowed power. So when Camilla allegedly pushed for her own son, Tom Parker Bowles, to be granted a noble title, it was the final straw. To Anne, this wasn't just inappropriate, it was a direct violation of everything the monarchy stands for. "Royal blood earns titles, not royal marriages," she reportedly snapped during a tense family exchange. According to insiders, Camilla had quietly suggested that Tom, her son, from her first marriage, be given an honorary title or barony, something subtle but meaningful, a way to recognize his role in royal life. Anne was livid. She saw it as a blatant attempt to rewrite centuries of protocol where only blood relatives or direct spouses were considered for noble elevation. Tensions exploded, raised voices, awkward exits. Even Charles reportedly looked uncomfortable, caught between the sister who never asked for anything and the wife who asked for more than anyone ever has. This wasn't just a family feud, it was a clash over the identity of the crown itself. Camilla wanted recognition for her lineage. Anne wanted to protect the bloodline. And in that moment, the divide between queen by marriage and princess by birth became painfully clear. But it wasn't the only power Camilla had started using to reshape the court, because what Anne revealed next suggested that the real game wasn't about titles, it was about influence. And it all pointed to one disturbing question: is the king really ruling the monarchy, or is Camilla ruling him, manipulating the king? According to Princess Anne, Queen Camilla is no longer just a consort. She's the quiet power behind the throne. In recent months, many have noticed a change in King Charles's tone, his focus shifting from family unity to phrases like legacy and preservation of image. Behind the scenes, Anne believes she knows why. During the Balmoral confrontation, Anne accused Camilla of isolating Charles, especially during key decisions about staff messaging and appointments. She alleged that Camilla had positioned allies into high-level roles: communications directors, royal household advisors, even longtime event organizers, all people loyal to her vision, not necessarily the king's. One insider whispered, "She's turning him against his own blood. He listens to her more than anyone else." Anne didn't say it to be cruel. She said it to wake Charles up, because from her view, this wasn't love, it was manipulation. "You've lost your judgment," she reportedly told him, "and you've let her rewrite our story." But the king, reportedly stunned, didn't reply. But even Charles's inner circle has started to question the changes. Some say his speeches are less grounded, his decisions more reactive, his distance from William increasing. And the unspoken fear that Camilla isn't just influencing the monarchy's future, she's quietly controlling it. But Anne isn't giving up the fight, not yet, because what comes next involves the one woman the firm has tried hardest to forget, and the files Camilla allegedly buried to make sure she stays forgotten, Princess Diana. Up next, the suppressed documents, the reorganized archives, and Anne's accusation of truth erasure at the heart of the monarchy's darkest secret. Suppressed and hidden in the heart of Windsor lies the Royal Archives, an institution built to protect the crown's most sensitive history. But now, according to Princess Anne, those same archives are being manipulated to protect one person, Queen Camilla. During the Balmoral confrontation, Anne revealed she had recently been shown evidence that private correspondence between Princess Diana and senior royals had been deliberately withheld or reorganized. These weren't random letters. They were described as emotionally powerful exchanges, including Diana's reactions to media pressure, her distrust of certain palace aides, and most damning of all, her concerns about Camilla's involvement in royal affairs long before the public knew anything. Anne called it what no one else dared say out loud. This is not archiving. This is erasure of truth. Sources say the documents were quietly relocated with catalog numbers changed, descriptions reworded, and access restricted even to senior royals. And when Anne asked why, no one gave a clear answer. But the implication was obvious. Camilla's rise required Diana's history to be softened or buried. One palace staffer admitted under anonymity, "It's no secret Camilla's team worked hard to clean up her public image, but hiding Diana's voice that crosses a line." For Anne, this was the final confirmation that the monarchy wasn't just rewriting its future, it was reshaping its past. And if Diana's truth could be hidden, then what else could be? Anne believes this wasn't a one-off decision, but part of a broader pattern, a systematic attempt to recast Camilla, not as the woman who broke the royal mold, but as one who quietly inherited it. But no matter how many letters are sealed away, one thing remains clear. The shadow of Diana hasn't faded, it's growing. And Anne isn't the only one feeling it, because when history gets rewritten, so do old wounds. And Anne's go back much further than anyone expected. Let's go back to the 1970s, where a royal triangle quietly set this feud in motion. A royal rift decades in the making. To understand Princess Anne's deep distrust of Camilla, you have to go back not to the Diana years, but to long before Diana ever entered the picture, back to a royal love triangle that most tabloids barely touched until now. In the early 1970s, Anne and Andrew Parker Bowles were an item. Their relationship was quiet, discreet, and royal approved, though unofficial. Andrew, a charming military man, was frequently seen with Anne at polo matches and dinners. There was undeniable chemistry. But then came Camilla Shand. She entered the same social circles, attended the same events, and eventually became involved with Andrew. Within months, the dynamic shifted and Anne's romance abruptly ended. Soon after Camilla married Andrew, and just a few years later, she was secretly involved with Charles. To Anne, it wasn't just betrayal. It was a pattern, first to Andrew, then Charles, then the crown. She once told a friend, "She takes what she shouldn't have." That feeling never faded. While the rest of the family gradually accepted Camilla's presence, Anne kept her distance, publicly polite, yes, but always formal, always guarded, never truly warm. And it wasn't just about old heartbreak. It was about what Camilla represented, someone who worked behind the scenes, played the long game, and used charm and connection to quietly climb the royal ranks. To Anne, who spent her life earning respect through duty and discipline, it felt like everything she stood for was being undone by one woman. "Anne never forgot, she never forgave," said one royal aide. Camilla didn't just take her ex, she took her place in history. And even when Camilla was crowned queen consort, Anne refused to bow, literally, because what many didn't know was that Anne had the support of one very powerful woman in that decision, Queen Elizabeth herself. Let's go there next: the wedding, the curtsy that never came, and the Queen's quiet rebellion, hidden in royal protocol. Anne will never bow. In 2005, the royal family gathered for an event decades in the making, the wedding of Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. But behind the scenes, there was tension. quiet, controlled, but unmistakable. And it all came down to a single curtsy. Tradition dictates that senior female royals must curtsy to the wife of the future king, especially once officially married. But on this day, Princess Anne did not. Observers thought it was personal, a quiet protest, but in truth it was a private command from the Queen herself. According to two former courtiers, Queen Elizabeth II made an unprecedented decision. Anne will not be required to curtsy, nor will Princess Alexandra. It wasn't written, it wasn't announced, but it was understood. The reason the Queen knew the history, she knew Anne's stance, and she knew the optics of forcing a loyal daughter to bend to someone who had never truly earned her place. It was symbolic. One aide recalled, it was a way of saying, I see you, I support you. And even at the height of Camilla's rise, Anne stood tall and the Queen backed her. That act, though small, now echoes louder than ever because as Camilla's reign becomes increasingly rocky and public trust begins to shift again, the symbolism of Anne's silent stand is being remembered. It wasn't just a refusal to curtsy, it was a refusal to surrender. And now as Anne pushes back harder than ever, royal watchers are beginning to piece together what she's been resisting all along, not just Camilla's power, but her image. And as it turns out, Anne isn't the only royal who's seen the cracks beneath Camilla's crown. Someone else has been quietly keeping score, Kate Middleton. Let's dive into the rivalry. The firm never talks about Kate versus Camilla and the quiet competition to become the people's queen. The crown's quiet competition. They smile for the cameras. They exchange small talk at events. But behind the palace walls, there's a quiet rivalry between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine, one that's been simmering for years, and now, thanks to Anne's revelations, is back in the spotlight. While Camilla has fought tooth and nail to be accepted as queen, Kate has earned her place effortlessly through quiet grace and unwavering public love. Even Queen Elizabeth reportedly said before her passing, Catherine carries the spirit of the monarchy. Camilla carries its baggage. According to insiders, Camilla has never quite accepted Kate's popularity. At one point, she allegedly referred to her as a common girl playing dress-up. But Kate didn't rise through scandal or spin. She rose through dignity. She didn't leak stories. She stayed silent. She didn't demand titles. She earned them through loyalty. And the people noticed. Polls consistently show Kate as the most beloved royal after the late Queen. Camilla, by contrast, remains polarizing. Anne, ever the realist, has made her stance clear. Kate is the future. Camilla was a compromise. And that quiet support matters more now than ever because with Kate battling illness and still holding her head high and Camilla under increasing scrutiny, the comparison writes itself. The firm may not say it publicly, but the monarchy knows there's only room for one true queen in the public's heart. And as for William, his opinion of Camilla has never been a mystery. Let's now reveal the cold reality of William and Camilla's strained bond and how it could shape the future of the crown. Cold eyes behind closed doors. The world may see polite smiles and formal greetings, but behind closed doors, the relationship between Prince William and Queen Camilla is cold and always has been. According to Princess Anne, this distance isn't just emotional. It's rooted in betrayal history and deep mistrust. Years ago, long before Charles and Camilla wed, both William and Harry pleaded with their father, please don't marry her. They remembered the whispers, the late-night calls, the damage it did to their mother. And while the world eventually accepted Camilla, William never truly did. According to Harry's memoir, William always viewed Camilla as a media manipulator, someone who traded privacy for positive press, often at the expense of others. And that hasn't changed. Camilla may wear the crown now, but William keeps his distance. In strategy meetings, they rarely sit side by side. In private events, there's minimal contact. He calls her Camilla never queen. One royal source said, he respects her position. He does not respect how she got there. Now with Anne voicing long-held grievances and public opinion shifting once again, William sees an opportunity not to attack, but to protect the monarchy from repeating old mistakes. Because if he is to be king one day, he knows what kind of queen must stand beside him, and it's not someone who leaves history in the shadows. It's someone who lives with transparency, compassion, and truth. The battle for the crown's soul is no longer quiet, and the next chapter may be written not by princes, but by a princess who's finally had enough. The affair that never ended. The royal family is built on unspoken rules, discretion, duty, distance. But there are ties even time titles and marriages can't fully sever. According to sources close to the palace, Princess Anne's long-standing bond with Andrew Parker, Camilla's ex-husband, might hold more secrets than anyone imagined. The story began in the early 1970s. Anne and Andrew were young, glamorous, and often seen together at military parades and polo matches. Though their relationship was never officially confirmed, insiders called it a royal affair. Then Camilla stepped and married Andrew in 1973 and later became involved with Charles. Years later, after Camilla's marriages to Andrew and then Charles, her bond with Andrew remained unusually strong. Anne made him godfather to her daughter Zara, a role usually reserved for the closest confidants. Over time, they exchanged letters, shared lunches, and attended events together. When Anne needed someone to trust, Andrew was often her go-to. By 2000, during Charles and Camilla's wedding, whispers suggested Camilla had taken more than a title. She'd taken a man Anne never fully let go. Their connection outlived their romance, one insider said, and Camilla knew it. That quiet rivalry turned personal and political as Camilla rose. Anne stayed silent, but now with the crown in crisis, she's brought it all into the open. The betrayal, the tension, the decades-long resentment buried under royal protocol. It's no longer about romance, it's about respect, legacy, and what Anne sees as Camilla's pattern of pushing others aside to get what she wants. One royal aide said bluntly, "Camilla married Andrew, then Charles, then wore a crown that was never meant for her. Anne never forgot any of it." But this time the public isn't turning away. They're paying attention, and they're choosing sides. And what's happening outside the palace walls is perhaps the clearest sign yet of where the monarchy's heart now lies, because while Camilla's image unravels, Kate is rising. Kate's rise, Camilla's decline. As Princess Anne speaks out behind the scenes, a wave is building in front of the cameras, and it's sweeping across the UK. While Queen Camilla faces whispers of backroom deals, buried documents, and fractured relationships, Princess Catherine has quietly captured the nation's heart like no royal since Diana. Even amid her recent health struggles, Kate has shown resilience, grace, and an unwavering sense of duty. She doesn't shout, she doesn't defend. She simply carries on with a quiet strength that speaks louder than words. And the people noticed. Recent polls show Kate as the most beloved royal woman ahead by a wide margin. When asked who represents the future of the monarchy, more than 8 in 10 chose Kate over Camilla. Social media is even more telling. Posts about Camilla are met with skepticism or silence, but posts about Kate, especially those of her with her children, go viral within moments. Murals, editorials, headlines, and stories all point to one truth: the crown's image is no longer just carried by tradition, it's carried by character. And in this contrast, Anne's message becomes even more powerful. Anne doesn't just support Kate as family, she sees her as the future queen. The country deserves someone who mirrors the dignity of Queen Elizabeth, the compassion of Diana, and the discipline Anne herself was raised with. One insider said Anne recently told a close friend, "If there is a North Star left in the family, it's Catherine, not Camilla." Even King Charles has taken note. Though still loyal to Camilla, he's quietly approved a plan for Kate and William to take more central roles in future engagements, a move palace watchers believe is a strategic shift in public positioning. The monarchy is in motion, not crumbling, but transforming. And at the heart of that transformation is a silent rebalancing of power, away from the woman who fought her way into the crown and toward the woman the public is embracing as a queen in waiting. But even as the world chooses its favorite, one last question hangs in the air. Will Anne let this remain a private rebellion, or will she go public? Will Anne go public? She's never been one for drama, never written a memoir, never sat down for an Oprah-style interview. But now, with so many royal truths cracking open and Queen Camilla's legacy under fire, insiders say Princess Anne may be preparing to do the unthinkable: speak publicly. For decades, Anne has been the monarchy's most loyal soldier, the hardest worker, the one who kept her head down and her duty high. But now even she sees that silence no longer protects the crown, it corrodes it. Whispers inside the palace suggest Anne has been approached for a documentary, or even a written memoir, one that would outline her experiences not just as the Queen's daughter, but as a witness to the crown's most painful transformations. And central to that would be Camilla's story, the one the palace never wanted told. "She's thinking about it," said one longtime courtier, "not for revenge, for truth." Because Anne has watched the institution bend, hide, and twist to accommodate Camilla, from title negotiations to buried archives to backroom promises. And now, with the monarchy once again facing a crossroads, she may no longer be willing to bite her tongue. Charles knows this. So does William. And so does Camilla. The fear isn't just what Anne might say, it's how much she's already seen. Because if Princess Anne goes public, whether in one interview, one book, or one unscripted moment, it could redefine royal history. No spin, no softening, just one of the most respected royals of her generation finally speaking without filters. And if that day comes, the crown may never be the same again. Because behind every carefully controlled monarchy lies a storm, and this one, Princess Anne's storm, has only just begun. Princess Anne may have exposed the truth, but the question now is, what comes next? Beneath the dazzling lights of the throne and royal ceremonies, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla represent two entirely different portraits of female power. To me, Anne is the embodiment of principle, unwavering loyalty, and a quiet pride forged from the old values of the British monarchy. She does not seek glamour or praise, yet she commands deep respect through her composure and steely resolve. Camilla, on the other hand, represents a more complex journey. Once harshly criticized, she has gradually rebuilt her image, stepping into her royal role with resilience under relentless scrutiny. I do not take sides, because each of them carries a story filled with shadows and burdens only they can truly understand. But it is undeniable that their presence in the royal family has reshaped how the world views the role of women in power. More than that, it reflects a quiet yet powerful transformation within the monarchy itself. And perhaps through these contrasts, we come to see the true essence of power, dignity, and the silent sacrifices made behind the velvet curtain of royalty.